What does real power sound like? It's not a roar. It's not the applause of a crowd or the confident argument that wins a debate. The sound of a truly formidable mind, the one that truly unnerves and intimidates people, is unshakable composure. Think about it. A person who is screaming has lost control. But a person who can absorb chaos, who can take a direct hit, be it an insult, a crisis, or a catastrophe, and meet it with a steady gaze and a calm heart, that person is a different kind of force altogether. Their stillness is not passivity. It is a terrifying form of readiness. Their mind isn't empty. It's a razor-sharp tool operating with lethal precision while lesser minds are flailing in the noise of their own fear. This composure gives them an advantage that is almost unfair. While everyone else is reacting to the past, they are calmly authoring the future. This is not a personality trait you are born with. It is a fortress you build. Today, we are not learning platitudes. We are installing an operating system of elite mental control. We will forge 5 cognitive contracts, 5 irreversible pacts with yourself designed to build a foundation of composure so solid it becomes your greatest weapon. If you are ready to stop being a product of your circumstances and start being the architect of your response, your training begins now. 1. The contract of the pause. The first contract is about reclaiming the most critical territory in your life, the space between what happens to you and how you react to it. Most of us live on autopilot. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You get angry. You get a critical email. Your stomach drops. Stimulus, response, like a puppet on a string. The Austrian psychiatrist, Viktor Frankl, identified the source of all human power in this tiny moment of delay. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Let's make this real. You're in a high-stakes meeting, presenting a project you've poured weeks into. A colleague, perhaps wanting to make themselves look smart, publicly attacks it. They say, "The core assumption on slide 7 is fundamentally flawed." Frankly, it calls this entire project's viability into question. The stimulus is the public challenge. The room goes quiet. All eyes are on you. The automatic response for a fragile mind is a hot rush of defensive adrenaline and argue back, "No, you're not understanding the data." In that moment, you have lost. You look emotional, weak, and rattled. You have proven that their attack landed and did damage. But with this contract, you execute the pause. You hear the aggressive criticism. You feel the eyes on you. You take one conscious, silent breath. In that 1 second space, you kill the emotional puppet and let the master strategist take the controls. You choose your response not for emotional satisfaction, but for strategic advantage. Instead of defending, you look at the colleague with calm composure and absorb and redirect. You might say, "That's a sharp observation. You're right to focus on the importance of that core assumption." You've validated their attention, not their attack. Then you turn slightly to address the most powerful person in the room, the decision maker. As you'll see in the risk analysis on slide 12, we modeled 3 alternative scenarios based on that exact variable. The outcome remains positive in all of them. After the meeting, I'll send you the supplementary data so you can see the stress test results for yourself. Now, let's analyze what was gained. You showed no weakness. The attack didn't rattle you. You appeared strong and in full command. You seized control of the narrative. You reframed their fatal flaw as a plan for variable, demonstrating you were already steps ahead of your critic. You elevated your status. By addressing the decision maker directly and promising a follow-up, you positioned yourself as a strategic partner to power, while your colleague is left looking like a disruptive, low-level critic. Your actionable step: the 1 breath rule. For the next week, make a pact with yourself. In any situation that triggers an immediate negative emotion, an annoying text, a frustrating comment, a moment of anxiety, your first action is always to take 1 slow, deliberate breath before you speak or type. In that breath, you will find your freedom. 2. The contract of the anti-fragile. Resilience is outdated. Being resilient means you can take a hit and return to your original state. But what if you could take a hit and become stronger because of it? That's the revolutionary idea of anti-fragility, a term coined by the modern thinker and risk analyst Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He states it simply: the resilient resists shocks and stays the same. The anti-fragile gets better. Think of a musician who gets her dream record deal. She releases her first album. It fails, and the label drops her. It's a humiliating public failure. She could try to recover and be resilient, begging other labels for a similar deal to get back to where she was. But instead, she uses the anti-fragile mindset. The shock of being dropped gives her something she didn't have before: total freedom. There are no executives to please, no need to write a radio hit. For the first time, she can make the exact music she's always wanted to create. This painful failure forces her to evolve. She learns how to produce her own songs. She uses social media to build a real, direct connection with fans. She ends up with a smaller, but intensely loyal following that loves her for her authentic work. In the end, she is far better off than she was with the record deal. She has more creative control, owns her own work, and has a more durable career. It was the catalyst that made her more powerful and independent than she ever would have been otherwise. That is anti-fragility. You don't just heal from the shock. You use its energy to become something more. Your actionable step: seek controlled volatility. Once a month, intentionally do something that has a chance of failure or rejection. Pitch a wild idea at work. Take a class in a skill you know you're bad at, like dancing or coding. Submit a creative piece to a competition. The goal isn't to succeed. The goal is to expose yourself to stress and practice using that energy as fuel for improvement, not a reason for retreat. 3. The contract of amor fati. This is the most demanding contract and the most powerful. It comes from the fierce German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. It goes far beyond simply accepting your fate. It means to love it, to want nothing to be different. Not the good, not the bad, not the horrific. Nietzsche's formula for human greatness was amor fati, a love of fate. He wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, but love it." This is not passive resignation. It is a defiant, creative act of will. Imagine a talented young architect, celebrated for her precise, beautiful hand-drawn blueprints. It is her identity. Then, at the peak of her early career, she develops a tremor in her hands, a chronic condition that makes drawing a straight line impossible. Her fate seems sealed. A cruel joke. The resilient response would be to fight it, to use medication and braces to try and force her hands to be what they once were, living in constant frustration. But the amor fati response is radically different. After a period of grief, she looks at her trembling hands not as a curse, but as a new tool. She asks, "What can these hands create that my steady hands never could?" She puts down the fine-tipped pens and picks up messy charcoal and wide brushes. She stops trying to draw perfect lines and instead leans into the beautiful, expressive, and chaotic energy her tremor creates. Her work transforms from precise and technical to passionate, abstract, and full of a life that no one else can replicate. She doesn't just endure her new reality, she falls in love with it. She sees that the tremor didn't take her career. It gave her a unique artistic voice she never would have found otherwise. She made her curse the very cornerstone of her new, more powerful identity. That is loving your fate. Your actionable step, the This Is My Path journal. When something goes wrong this week, write it down. Then, underneath it, write a single sentence starting with, "This is part of my path because it will teach me," and fill in the blank. You are actively weaving the bad things into the narrative of your strength, the contract of the observer. Our minds are constantly chattering. This inner voice can be a coach, but more often, it's a panicked, irrational critic. Trying to fight this voice head-on is exhausting and often fails. The fourth contract offers a clever workaround drawn from modern psychology. Get some distance. Psychologists like Ethan Kross have shown that one of the most effective ways to regulate emotion is through self-distancing. You shift your perspective from first person to third person. You become an observer of your own life, not just the frantic actor at its center. Let's use a deeply personal, high-anxiety example: social rejection. Imagine you went on a few dates with someone you felt a real connection with, and then they disappear. They ghost you. The first person emotional spiral is immediate and vicious. The inner critic screams, "I knew it. There's something wrong with me. I'm not interesting enough. I'm always going to end up alone. What did I do wrong?" It's a whirlpool of self-blame that feels impossible to escape. Now, apply the observer contract. You activate the perspective shift, talking to yourself as you would a friend, using your own name. Let's say your name is Alex. Okay, Alex, you're feeling the sting of rejection right now, and that's valid. It hurts. But let's look at the facts. This person's silence is a piece of data about their communication style and their circumstances, not a final verdict on your worth. You are a valuable and interesting person. It's okay to be disappointed this connection didn't work out, but this feeling is temporary. Let's focus on what we can control, connecting with our friends and enjoying our hobbies. The shift from I to your own name is not a trick. It's a neurological hack. It instantly turns down the volume on the emotional static and activates the wise, problem-solving parts of your brain. You've gone from being lost in the emotion to being the calm advisor to the emotion. Your actionable step, the fly-on-the-wall technique. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a negative emotion, physically or mentally step back. Describe the scene to yourself out loud or in a journal, using your own name. Okay, Sarah is feeling a lot of anxiety about the upcoming interview. This simple act of observation short-circuits the emotional spiral and restores your power. 5. The contract of the defiant. Why discipline is great. Habits are useful. But when a true long-term crisis hits, when you are stripped of all external motivation, habits and discipline are not enough. The only thing that endures is a purpose so powerful it becomes non-negotiable. This is the contract of the defiant why, a core idea in existentialist thought. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard argued that life's meaning isn't something you find, it's something you create through a leap of faith, a commitment to a purpose. Let's set aside world leaders and look at a hero's journey closer to home. A person caring for a parent with Alzheimer's disease. This is a battle with no victory parade. It is a slow, painful, and often thankless marathon of loss. Without a why, the daily reality is crushing. Answering the same question for the 10th time in an hour is maddening. The physical and emotional exhaustion is immense. The guiding thought is, I can't take this anymore. But a person can forge a defiant why. They make a conscious, active choice. Their purpose is not simply, I have to do this. It becomes, I choose to be the guardian of my mother's dignity. She spent her life caring for me, and now I will be the strength and memory she no longer has. My purpose is to fill her final chapter with as much peace, love, and safety as I can possibly provide. This why changes everything. Suddenly answering the same question for the 10th time is no longer an annoyance. It is a deliberate act of providing comfort. A difficult physical task is no longer a burden. It is an act of profound love. When burnout threatens to overwhelm them, they anchor themselves to that purpose. Their why becomes a source of infinite energy because it is a choice they remake every single morning. It proves that a purpose doesn't have to be a grand ambition to save the world. A truly defiant why can be a deeply personal commitment to save one person's world, including your own. Your actionable step, the purpose, inquisition. Ask yourself, why? 5 times. Start with a surface-level goal. I want to get a promotion. 1. Why? For more money and respect. 2. Why? So I can provide better security for my family. 3. Why? Because being a reliable provider is core to my identity. 4. Why? Because I want to be a source of stability and strength for the people I love. 5. Why? Because that is the foundation of a meaningful life. Now you've connected a career goal to a defiant purpose. These 5 contracts, the pause, the antifragile, amor fati, the observer, and the defiant why, are not just ideas. They are tools. They are weapons. They are the software for a new kind of mind. A mind that doesn't break under pressure, but gets more focused. A mind that doesn't just tolerate chaos, but uses it as fuel. A mind so grounded in its purpose that the opinions and judgments of others become irrelevant noise. Building this mind is the hardest work you will ever do, and it's the only work that truly matters. Start today. Pick one contract. Make a pact with yourself. The world will test you. Be ready to show it something it has never seen before.